about that, Seppi. Hey, Seppi. If you want me to, I'll go over all of it again. Okay. Sorry. Hey, Seppi. Sorry about that. Let me give a shout out to Seppi. I know he hasn't gotten a chance to stream, but thank you so much, Captain Seppi. No sim sound. So we just covered over London City Airport. It came into existence in 1987. It's actually the 5th busiest airport in London, and you need a special license to fly over London City Airport due to the very steep approach and the fact that you're right next to the city of London, which is historically a very busy airspace. Then I talked about the history of London. Let's talk about London itself, the capital and largest city of all of England, and is one of the world's oldest cities with strong prestige in politics, economy, culture, and more. And London has 4 major World Heritage sites. We're going to be visiting 3 of those. I forgot to put St. Margaret's Church. And then we have there's evidence of the Bronze Age happening during this time. So we have the Bronze Age remains. Then we have Londinium. And then we get to the rise of the London itself, or the Anglo-Saxons and the Vikings, and then we get back to the history of London Part 3. So after winning the Battle of Hastings, William Duke of Normandy was crowned king. In the 12th century, institutions of central government grew in size and sophistication became fixed, and that during the Tudor period, the Reformation produced a gradual shift to Protestantism, mainly by Henry VIII, who is a very well-known king. Much of London property passed from the church to private ownership, which accelerated trade and business in London. And then in 1637, the government of Charles I attempted to reform the administration of the London area, and that led to the English Civil War. And in that Civil War, the majority of Londoners supported the Parliament. In 1666, the Great Fire of London broke out. It quit in Pudding Lane, and quickly spread throughout the wooden buildings, completely burning down the city. In 1762, George III acquired Buckingham Palace, which was enlarged in over 75 years. And a fun fact about King George III, he was the king of the UK during the events of the American Revolution. His actions kind of led to the US being formed. During the 18th century, London was dogged by crime, and as a result, they had to establish a police force, the Bow Street Runners, in 1750. London was the world's largest city from 1831 to 1925, with a population density of 325 people per hectare. And the city was the target of many attacks during a terrorist campaign, including a suffrage attack in 1913, and it was bombed by the Germans in the First and Second World War, mainly by the Blitz, which killed over 30,000 Londoners and destroyed very large parts of London. And then, after this, it became the home of many immigrants, making it extremely diverse. It also created the swinging London subculture in the 60s. And then, going back to the modern day era, the Millennium Dome, London Eye, and Millennium Bridge were constructed in the 21st century. And London continues to still be a major city. Hey, Oh Can Do! What's up, Oh Can Do? Good to have you here, Oh Can Do. It's great to have you here. Let me give him a shout out. Oh Can Do is an amazing bush flyer. He flies in the bush. He is an amazing bush pilot and a very entertaining content creator. So thanks for coming by, Oh Can Do. I hope you're having a great day so far. So we're turned over the city of London, actually. So this is London in the United Kingdom. This is the crown jewel of the UK. You know, it was also the crown jewel of the British Empire. Famously, they said the British Empire is where the sun never sets. And to be fair, for much of the 19th century, it very much was the empire that the sun never really set. Like, people don't realize how big the British Empire really was. It ruled from the Caribbean and Canada to all the way to India, all the way in Africa and the Caribbean. It ruled everything. It was huge. I hope you're all doing great. So we're gonna head to our first. We're gonna head to our first landmark. This is London Stadium, currently now the home of West Ham United. But before then, it was actually constructed for the 2012 Summer Olympics and Paralympics here in London. The seating capacity was 60,000 people, but it can host up to 80,000 people for concerts and other events. But here's something, an interesting fact a lot of people don't get about London Stadium. London Stadium actually, in 2019, hosted the first regular season Major League Baseball game in Europe. When the Yankees and Red Sox played there, which the Yankees swept the Red Sox in that series. And right here, we're visiting Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. This is where the 2012 Olympics were mainly held. It's right in this area of the city. You can take a look. I know the photogrammetry in some areas isn't great, but it's a lot better than nothing, that's for sure. So here it is. Here's London Stadium, home to West Ham United. Here it is. Here it is. Let's go over it. So yeah, this is West Ham Stadium. This is one of the things I do like about this Aerolite, is visibility. So you can definitely see all the construction stuff going on. So there we go. Let's sit over Queen Elizabeth Park. Just turn over the city. Now, I want to ask you all in the chat, I hope you all had a great weekend so far. I hope everything's going great for you all. I know for me this week, this is by far the longest PowerPoint stuff I've ever done on one of my streams. I believe it's nearly 50 slides for this one. But to be fair, this is London, and it's one of the world's most important cities, so it's been a lot of work. But you can definitely see between New London and Old. So the next, we're going to actually visit one of the new POI landmarks. This is handcrafted by a solo. And we're going to be visiting the home of Arsenal. This is Emirates Stadium we're going to be visiting next. You're doing good, man. Mapping out Appalachian Trail. Yeah, Appalachian Trail. Really, really cool area. I've been around the Appalachian Trail. I've been to Blue Ridge, and I've been to Tennessee. I've been to Pigeon Forge, and I've been to Blue Ridge. And I gotta tell you, Appalachia is definitely a very nice area to visit. So Emirates Stadium, it's currently the home of Arsenal. It's been that way since 2006. Emirates Stadium replaced for Arsenal their old ground at Highbury, which is the original home of Arsenal. Now this stadium has a seat capacity of 60,260 people, and it's the fourth largest football stadium in England, after Wembley, Old Trafford, which is in Manchester, and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is in North London. Unfortunately, I don't think they got Hotspur Stadium in the sim. So this stadium, its sponsorship was named after Emirates Airlines, which is very much a very important airline from the United Arab Emirates. In 2009, they led to a program of Arsenalization to make it more focused on Arsenal. It's definitely a very striking stadium for sure. It features 4-tiered bowl with translucent polycarbonate roofing over the stands, but not over the pitch. It features facilities for fans with disabilities, including guide dog stuff. Skydog toilet facility, and it disables supported match day lounge stuff. But it also pays tribute to its former home of library. So, hey, Convel 999, good to have you here. But the thing that's most important about Emirates is it's been used as a location for as an audition stage for some of the reality shows, including the X Factor. Britain's Got Talent, and Big Brother have all been featured here at Emirates Stadium. Definitely a cool site. So here it is. Here's our first handcrafted PUI from a solo. Emirates Stadium. Yes, if you wonder why there's a lot of name tags here, well, it's because we're near Heathrow. And trust me, Heathrow is really busy. Especially for the transcontinental flights, transatlantic flights from the US. So here it is. Here's Emirates Stadium. Emirates is definitely a very iconic modern-day football stadium. So let's take a look at Emirates. Let's see how Solo did for Emirates Stadium. You can definitely see all the Arsenal stuff. Let's fire up that. Definitely nice. You can see the cannon in the seats. Are you on East US Viper? Yes, I am. Exclamation point server. Exclamation point server, and I'm definitely on the East USA. Here's Dip 1397. He's in the H13 chopper. Yes, good pick with the H135 Dip UIP. So this is Emirates Stadium. Very nice facility for football. It's definitely a very nice facility. Then afterwards, we're going to fly to Lord's Cricket Ground, actually. I know it's weird, you all might be thinking, Viper, why are you going to a cricket ground? Actually, before we get to the cricket ground, actually, let me fix this slide. One of my slides is out of order. Ah, there you go. Like typical Microsoft, I got nothing. Oh, sorry to hear about that. So, Lord's Cricket Ground is the home of cricket, people say. It's located in St. John's Wood. It was actually not the original. It's actually one of the 3 Lord's Cricket Grounds that were established between 1787 and 1814. This cricket ground is actually the last one, so it's actually been built since 1814. And it features the world's oldest sporting museum, the MCC Museum. It contains some of the most celebrated collection of all things cricket, including the Ashes Urn, which is the main championship for cricket. It's hosted here, and it has a capacity of around 30,000 people. And apparently, they also play a lot of the English tests here. The first test here played was in 1884 when England battled Australia. And it has been mainly the home of the Marylebone Cricket Club since 1814 and the home of Middlesex Cricket Club since 1877. So pretty important stuff about the cricket ground. So down over here is Lord's Cricket Ground. Here's the cricket ground here. Lord's Cricket Ground is being held here. So here it is, Lord's Cricket Ground, and here's definitely something interesting. This here is kind of futuristic, and that's because that was actually built during the 1990s. This built here, and that's an observation deck for the press. Built up here. So let's go ahead and place. So now we're going to visit the next, this is another handcrafted POI, but this one is actually the largest stadium in England. And I'm talking about, hey, Aviation Farming Specialists, thank you for choosing with Planet Airliners. Hey, Aviation Farming Specialists, first time in the chat, good to have you here. Flying with London Airlines, informing in this next city's flight, all been good? No worries. Yeah, this is London. But this one here, we're flying over Wembley. So Wembley is the largest stadium in all of the United Kingdom. It was opened back in 2007 on the site of the original Wembley Stadium. That was demolished for 2002-2003. It hosts the matches, including the home matches of the England national football team in the FA Cup final. It's owned by the governing body, the Football Association, and with 9,000 seats, it's the largest stadium in the UK and the second largest in all of Europe. Only Camp Nou in Barcelona is bigger than this. It was designed by Populous and Foster & Partners and is crowned by a 134-meter high arch and serves as a symbol for the stadium, which actually we can see from over here. Here's the Wembley Arch, guys. In contrary to popular belief, Wembley Stadium does not have a retractable roof, but there are partially retractable structure. In addition to England home games and stuff, it also hosts the League Cup finals, the FA Community Shield, and more. It is also a Category 4 stadium of UEFA, and hosted the UEFA Championship League finals in 2011-2013, and UEFA Euro 2020. Another thing this big stadium is known for is actually hosting games of the National Football League were hosted here. Well, London, NFL London games were hosted here until 2019. And they were played at Wembley, believe it or not. And of course, it also has lots of concerts too. And lots of concerts have been played here too at Wembley. First, you have pickled onion sandwich with burger bacon, and now I have corned beef hash as well. Definitely a very interesting thing to have here. So let's go fly over Wembley for a bit. I may take a picture of it for the Discord. Let's see if I got my. Here it is. Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and pause this and so I can take a picture for the Discord. And if you guys want to join my Discord, here it is. As well. Let's stop up here. And let's go ahead and it's an interesting construction with the arch. It is. This arch is really a symbol of the United Kingdom. Football in the UK. Definitely very interesting with the arch. this is Wembley. This is what Wembley looks like on the outside. So you can definitely see the multi-tiered decks here at Wembley. And this is what it looks like on the inside of Wembley. You can definitely see that this is definitely one of the top facilities in all of Europe and not one of the world's premier stadiums. Got some good seats as well. So here it is. And that is a bit of Wembley. Let's look what it is from the outside. So here's Wembley from the outside. Hey, Shovel Shoes, good to have you here. Yeah, we're flying over London. So we're flying over London today, Shuffle Shoes. I'm touring the city. So we're currently flying towards now our next stop. And this is actually going to be the first stop. And we're actually visiting a well-known international airport. Yes, it's London Heathrow. So, so what's the point about visiting London Heathrow, exactly? Well, let's talk about the London Heathrow for a bit. Because this airport has an interesting history. This airport was opened on March 25th, 1946. It's located in, it is located here in London. It was founded actually as a small airfield in 1929. It was developed after the Second World War to be a much larger airport. Owned by Heathrow Airport Holdings, in 2021 it was the 7th busiest airport on the planet by international passenger traffic and the 8th busiest in Europe by total passengers. It is known for 2 parallel east-west runways with 4 terminals and a cargo terminal. It is the primary hub for British Airways and an operation base for Virgin Atlantic. In 2020, it handled 22.1 million passengers, which is still pretty busy, even though with all the pandemic. Obviously, there's been some major airport destinations that people have gone to. For British Airways, they fly from everywhere you could think of. How about Queen Alia Airport in Amman, Jordan, Atlanta, at Hartsfield-Jackson, Dubai, Dublin, Berlin, Tokyo, Toronto. They even now started doing flights in Sydney, of all places. Vienna, they fly everywhere from Heathrow. It's crazy how many flights you can go off in London Heathrow. It's pretty crazy, and all sorts of airlines fly here from the US, Canada, China, Ireland, Korea, Germany, the United Arab Emirates. They fly from nearly everywhere. It's a busy airport. And mind you, I'm on East USA and there's still tons of names. I don't even want to know what Heathrow would be like if I was on North or West Europe surface. How crazy the nameplate would be. It seems weird that, I mean, flying here. Hey, DYP Purple has now followed. Thank you, DYP Purple, for the follow. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for the follow. Also, in addition, this airport is a handcrafted airport if you get Premium Deluxe. This is one of the airports you can get if you buy Premium Deluxe, is Heathrow. So you can definitely see all the old holes here. This airlight's really nice because it's actually, like the other one, it's actually quite a stable ultralight. I like the fact this thing goes much faster, which is great for a fight like London. So I hope you guys have had a good weekend so far, and everything seems to be going well for all of you. So I've been doing lots of the FS Hub flights for Firefly Air, which has now grown to be the second biggest airline. We've already got 123 people in the virtual airline. It's crazy how many people are on our airline. We did, totally, the Firefly Air has done 970 flights, over 256,000 miles, nearly 257,000 nautical miles, and our average landing rate is negative 256 feet per minute, which is really good so far. So the runway we're going to be landing on is going to be runway 27 right. We're just going to go straight in. So that's where we're going to be landing here. Just straight in approach at Heathrow. So and then afterwards I'm going to fly around the airport for a bit because just to show the people the size of Heathrow. There's also all sorts of charts. This is a simple landing. Now, if you don't have these ultralights, here's a plane I definitely recommend. If you have the Premium Deluxe Edition, a good plane that I recommend taking would be, especially on Xbox, is the Shock Ultra or the Savage Cub. Those are both good planes. They both go slow enough. If you got flaps, they can go slow enough to handle anything in this flight. Just look at all the people we need. It's pretty great. Let's see how my land's gonna be. So, welcome to London Heathrow. I know many of you guys have visited. If you've ever done airliner flights in Sim, you've probably flown to London Heathrow. I probably prefer to not land near the way. Negative 131 feet per minute at 17 knots. Oh, we're going underneath the big old A320. So, not a bad landing. Would have been a little smoother, but not a bad one. So I'm going to go ahead and park in the grass, actually. Okay. Turn on parking brake. And we stop here in Heathrow. So if you guys don't mind, let me tour this airport a bit. Just for some of you guys who don't know about London Heathrow, we can actually tour this place. But we can definitely see some really cool things about this airport. And look at 772. It's almost flying on a Boeing 777-200. So you can definitely see some of the terminals here. So here's many of the different terminal buildings here in Heathrow. So here's all the gates, the jetways, and all that. Also, I believe there's actually a Concorde somewhere. Here's runway 27 left. So here's one of the other runways we can land. Now, this area here in particular is where the Concorde would be held, is over here. So this is where the Concorde would be held in this area. But I don't think it shows up in the sim to have a Concorde. Now, there's a payware scenery that actually shows up for the Concorde. So after here is like one of the main terminals to connect here to Heathrow. There's like buildings and hotels and stuff here at Heathrow. Lots of different terminals and all sorts of gates. Just a bit about Heathrow. Hey, Dougal McTavish. Good to have you here, Dougal. Great to have you here. You're on another flight, but thanks for saying hello. I really do appreciate it. So this is a bit of Heathrow, guys. Yeah, it's a big airport. It's the biggest in all of the UK. So let's go back and let's go ahead and do flight number 2, shall we? So let's go to the long flight. This is why we're here today. So I hope it is a huge airport. London Heathrow is huge. And I see you in the Shock Ultra. Yeah, Shock Ultra is a great choice for this one. Perfectly good enough. You can do any of the short takeoff stuff you can do. My hometown was Kansas City. The international airport that's not big and half torn down, now rebuilt. Actually, I did fly over Kansas City in the Sim Convel. I did that for my baseball tour, play ball. And that's actually on YouTube. It was actually my first series, so the quality here wouldn't be nearly as good. But I flew over there for the Kansas City Royals and a bit about Kansas City's baseball history. So I'm going to go ahead and take off here. I mean, the Shock Ultra is much faster than this, so I don't think you're ever going to have difficulty catching up. And we're off. So we now get to fly over a bit about Heathrow. Now we're going to fly over a bit. If you guys like what you're seeing and you haven't followed yet, I would really like... If you really like what you're seeing, don't be afraid to smash the follow button, alright? This is London Heathrow. Very impressive airport. And this is actually handcrafted by a Sobo, but I know there's a really good paintware one out there that apparently makes this even better. I wonder what it was. Oh yeah, it's Any Scenes, London Heathrow from Any Builds. That's what it was. That Heathrow was really interesting. now we're now going to visit a new place. So after this, we're going to visit another historic castle, and we're going to actually visit Windsor Castle. This castle in particular is a really interesting, is a really cool one. So Windsor Castle, for all you guys that don't know, is a royal residence. It's very similar to a lot of them, but this particular one is strongly associated with the English and Sea royal family for almost a millennia since its construction. The original castle was actually built in the 11th century after the Norman invasion of England, which William the Conqueror successfully took the castle. This castle was the longest occupied palace in all of Europe. It was mainly used for Henry III building a luxurious royal palace within the castle, and Edward III rebuilt the entire thing to make it even more grand, and making it the most expensive sector building project in the entire Middle Ages. It survived the English Civil War. It was used as the military headquarters for Charles I during the Civil War. It was rebuilt during the restoration of the monarchy. It was even used as a refuge by the royal family during the Blitz, during the Second World War, and even survived a fire in 1992. And it's still a very popular tourist attraction, and is the main residence for Queen Elizabeth II since 2011. So we get to visit the legendary Windsor Castle. So this castle in particular covers around 52,609 square miles and combines the features of a fort, a palace, and even a small town. It has Gothic features, and it is a Georgian and Victorian design based on a medieval structure. It consists of a middle ward, which is the heart of the castle. Then there's the upper ward, which in case of several major buildings, and there's including state apartments, which features tons of paintings and all that. And a lower ward, which was reconstructed during the Victorian period, and it's got a very long history. I mean, I don't want to get to all of it, but this castle has an unbelievably rich history. And I see Windsor Castle down here. Very famous place. Definitely worth taking a picture, that's for sure. Like I said, I'm still sorry for all the sound issues early in the morning. I kind of forgot. Here it is, historic Windsor Castle. That's a very impressive place. Yeah, the UK has so many landmarks. It's unbelievably rich. So here it is, Windsor Castle. So here it is, Windsor Castle. Mighty Windsor Castle. So you see all the different wards, the lower, mid, and central ward. Fly over it again. They did a good job on the handcrafting. Yeah, they did. It's actually kind of nice. So let's fly over this again. So you can definitely. There's the historic chapel right over here. Here it is. So you see all the little small towns and stuff here. Definitely a very historic castle. So let's go ahead and do it the next one. So from here we're going to actually head up to a place called Runnymede. So interesting thing about the area known as Runnymede, it's well known for being a water meadow alongside the River Thames, but it's most famously for being associated with the sealing of the Magna Carta. And as a result, it's been a site for a lot of the memorials. So, for guys who don't know what the Magna Carta is, so the Magna Carta was actually signed all the way back in the 12th century. It was actually signed in the 13th century, on June 15, 1215. It was a royal charter agreed to by the King John of England near Windsor. It was drafted by the Archbishop of Canterbury to make peace between the unpopular king and the group of rebel barons. It promised the protection of church rights, protection for the barons from illegal imprisonment, access to justice, and limitations on feudal payments to the crown. And it was originally annulled by Pope Innocent III, leading to the Barons' War, and after his death, Henry III reissued the document in 1216, stripped of some of the more radical content, and eventually the treaty was signed during that time. And the Magna Carta is still an important symbol of liberty today, even to this day. It is still held in great respect by many in Britain and the US as one of the great constitutional documents. But Runnymede is more than just the area of where the Magna Carta. It's home to lots of different memorials, including the Air Force Memorial, which commemorates the men and women of the Allied Air Forces, a memorial for JFK, and much, much more. Runnymede was also famous for other events, including any duels, and the final duel in England took place in 1852. Now, the name itself actually was derived from the Anglo-Saxon word for runig and mead, which means regular meeting, and means a place in the meadows used to hold regular meetings. That's what's called Runnymede. Oh, I think we just turn around. I think I flew past it. Yeah, I flew past it. So, here it is. So here's all the different memorial. Unfortunately, this does not have all the photogrammetry. We're going to fly over Runnymede. Here it is. Here it is. Here's Runnymede. We're flying over that now. The ground where the Magna Carta was actually signed. Right here. So next, after Runnymede, we visit Thorpe Park. It's actually an amusement park located in the village of Thorpe, and it's owned by Berlin Entertainment. It includes rides, theme cabins, live events, and the UK's fastest roller coaster, Stealth, which is a launch roller coaster. Thorpe Park is actually the third busiest airport in the UK. It's actually one of the biggest in the UK, behind Alton Towers and Legoland Linsdale. It's been around since 1979. It features 25 total attractions, including 6 water slides and the roller coaster. Some of the rides include Swarm, the first wing coaster in the UK. A Stealth, which is the hydraulically launched roller coaster from Intamin, which is at 205 feet tall. And it can go from 0 to 80 in 1.9 seconds. And Colossus, a 10 inversion roller coaster. Thorpe should be around here somewhere. So here is Thorpe Park, or at least this is where it will be. Unfortunately, the photogrammetry isn't really there, but there's Thorpe Park. This is where one of the little amusement parks is. So we're going to turn left and we'll head to our next place. This one is Hampton Court Palace. So this palace here was a royal palace. It was built in 1514 for Cardinal Thomas Wolsey for King Henry VIII. But after he lost popularity, when he fell out of favor, the Cardinal gave the palace to the king and became one of King Henry VIII's most favored residences after acquiring the property, and he arranged it to be enlarged so he can easily accommodate his sizable routine of couriers. And alongside St. James Palace, it was one of the only 2 surviving palaces of the many the king owned. Currently, it's under the possession of Queen Elizabeth II and the Crown. So, in the following century, William III actually rebuilt this place to rival the Palace of Versailles. Which, by the way, if I ever go to Paris, I'm definitely visiting the Palace of Versailles. But the last monarch to actually reside in the palace was actually King George II, from 1727 to 1760. Was the last. Today, the palace is a major tourist attraction. It can be easily reached by train from Waterloo Station and is served by the Hampton Court Runway Station. Apart from the palace and its gardens, other points of interest include the celebrated maze, the oldest surviving hedge maze in all of Britain, the historic Royal Tennis Court, and the huge grapevine, the largest in the world as of 2005. The palace has many works of art and furnishings from the royal collection, mainly dating from the early parts of construction, the Tudor period, and the late Stuart Georgian period. As of September 2015, it recorded 542 works being located in Hampton Courts, mainly paintings and furniture, but also ceramics and sculptures. Much of the original furniture dates back to the late 17th and 18th centuries, and the King's Guard Chamber has many arms, muskets, pistols, swords, daggers, and more. But the thing that makes this thing pretty special is its chapel, maybe considered by many to be some of the fanciest in all of Britain. It's framed by a massive oak red rose with garlands carved by the Gridley Gibbons during the reign of Queen Anne as well. And it's also got lots of different grounds too, especially gardens. Of course, this was also used as a filming location too. It was the filming location for A Man of All Seasons by Fred Zinnemann. It was featured in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, Sherlock Holmes and Game of Shadows, and more. It was also a venue for the road cycling time trial during the 2012 Olympics. So this chapel here has a bit of an interesting history. Yeah, at least you can see the image of the coasters. Yeah. This little chapel is definitely a very historic area. Let's hope it's in the center. As you know me, I'm a sucker for all the I hope you guys are having a good time today. I hope you're all enjoying this. I love the history stuff, so I love looking up the different landmarks in the cities. Even if they don't show up, I'm still going to teach you all about it. So when you do visit the place, hey, Planet Neutral, good morning. Good morning to you, Planet Neutral. I hope you guys check out Planet Neutral, a good friend of mine in the community. He's from around my local area. And he's really cool. He makes some really good flight plans as well, and he's always very much welcome here. So we're visiting London. We're actually visiting the London area. So earlier we toured Wembley Stadium, Emirates Stadium, Lord's Cricket Ground, Windsor Castle, in London Heathrow. And we're currently heading towards Hampton Court Palace. Then afterwards, we visit Twickenham Stadium and much more. This is by far the longest slideshow I've ever done, Planet Neutral. Doing 50 slides. Ugh. Let's see if it's here. I love your ambition. No worries. Yeah, I can be quite ambitious with my stuff. I mean, I can be a bit ambitious. Yep, it's not me in an airliner. It's kind of cool. Okay, I don't see Hampton Court Palace anywhere. That's weird. Hampton Court Palace is not a landmark in the sim. Despite being the fact it's one of the residences of King Henry VIII. So, for a lot of guys who don't know about King Henry VIII, now this king definitely is one of England's most controversial and definitely one of its most important political leaders. He was born from June 28, 1491. He passed away on January 28, 1547. He was the King of England from April 22nd, 1509 to his death in 1547. He is best known for his 6 marriages. Yes, he had 6 wives. And his efforts to have his first marriage annulled to the Catherine of Aragon was annulled. And that led to the disagreement with Pope Clement VII. And it led to the English Reformation, separating the Church of England from the authority of the Pope. He actually appointed himself as the supreme head of the Church of England. He dissolved many of the monasteries, and he was known as the father of the Royal Navy. And that's what built England to its mighty navy even to this day. And here's the main reason he actually annulled his marriage to Catherine was because he didn't have a son. He went through many different wives until finally Catherine gave him his son. And that was to Jane Seymour, who finally became his son. Yeah, definitely a very important political leader, that's for sure. So the next place we're visiting here is Twickenham Stadium. It's actually the largest rugby stadium in all of Europe. I'm positive to him that it's well done also. Wait, really? Oh, let me see. Oh, there it is! Oh, I missed it. Huh. Oh, I didn't see it. Oh, there it is. There's Hampton Court Palace. Thank you, Conval. I need to thank you more. Oh, thank you, Conval. You actually saved my life. So this here is Hampton Court Palace. Oh, this is a nice palace. Oh, that looks fantastic. Oh, it looks fantastic here. So yeah, this is Hampton Court Palace, one of the historic palaces of Henry VIII. In fact, I wonder if I can land here. Give you a bit of a... Oh man, this is great. Thank you, Convo, for finding out. I didn't know it was loaded in or not. Oh, but what a beautiful palace. That looks amazing. That is just... Guys, I think this is once... I hope you guys like this. Is a stunning palace. Alright guys, okay, now we're gonna visit Twickenham Stadium. I try to land, we'll try it here. Okay, we're gonna try landing it. No worries. 326 feet per minute. Oh. Well, we get to actually see the front of the castle. Pretty cool. So here's a bit of the front of the castle. I think you guys kind of agree with me. This is one stunning palace. Like, people forget just how exquisite these palaces were built. You gotta realize these were built during the 15th, 16th centuries. So, we're now gonna move on to Twickenham Palace, or Twickenham Stadium, I mean. So Twickenham Stadium is a rugby union stadium here. It is the world's largest rugby union stadium with a capacity of 82,000 fans. It plays home to the England national rugby team. And it's home to the World Rugby Union, and it covers the entire sport of rugby. Not just in the UK, but also throughout the world. So, this is also another new POI that was discovered in World Update. I believe it's World Update 3 or 4. I think it was World Update, yeah, it was 3. So Twickenham Stadium, I'm really impressed with everyone coming here. Thank you guys so much for coming here today on the city tour. So I'm planning on, after I do the city tour, on Wednesday, I'm planning to do a Firefly Air tour. We're going to fly over the Philippines Islands. We're going to tour all of the islands to complete the achievement, the Philippine Island Hop Tour. The Philippines is a place I haven't really been to much in The Sims, so it would definitely be an awesome tour. And I'm hoping to vary the aircraft we do for every Wednesday. So here's Twickenham Stadium, right in front of us. Island hopping sounds cool. Oh yeah, island hopping's great. But yeah, the Philippines, absolutely, I think Philippines do not get the credit they deserve. In terms of natural beauty, the Philippines they definitely have rich natural beauty and stuff. But also the Philippines have got quite a bit of issue. So here it is, Twickenham Stadium. It's also the second largest stadium in the entire UK, actually, behind Wembley. So here is the famed rugby ground, as you can see down below. So from here, we're now going to visit Kew Palace, KEW Palace. So this little palace here is definitely a really cool one. So the Kew Palace was originally a royal palace within the ground of the Kew Gardens. Originally, it was a large complex only few elements survive, and the main survivor is the Dutch house. It dated all the way back to 1631. And alongside it is a 18th century service wing, a former housekeeper's cottage, brew house, and kitchen block are all located here in the palace. And we get to visit the Royal Botanical Gardens. And not only do we visit Kew Palace, next to it is Elizabeth Gate, which leads you to the Royal Gardens. Oh yeah, and look at this, there's the River Thames again. Now a bit about the river, actually. Now, it actually goes through the Atlantic, and it goes all the way through Southend to Kemble. Of course, London's the most famous city located here. But it's not the only one. There's plenty of them. And there have been times, even since the Roman days, like especially more recent years, they try to control the flow of the Thames, mainly to prevent flooding and all that. But the Thames has got a very long history of the city. So after we visit Kew Palace, we're going to be visiting the Chiswick House and Gardens. The Chiswick House, particularly. So the Chiswick House is a Neo-Paladin style house. It was built by Richard Boyle, the third Earl of Burlington, and it was completed in 1729. The garden was mainly by the architect and landscape designer William Kent, and is one of the earliest examples of the English landscape garden. And although little is known about the people who stayed to visit the house, many important visitors actually had visited this place during this time. And there have been some notable guests. Some of these guests include future U.S. Presidents John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Voltaire, the Italian statesman Giuseppe Garibaldi, Russian Tsar Nicholas I and Alexander I, and even the Beatles visited there in 1966 to shoot their promotional films here too. So definitely some very famous people have visited Chiswick. Let's hope it could be the same. So I hope you guys have plans for your weekend. Let's see if Chiswick's around. Is that it, maybe? That might be what Chiswick House looks like? I don't think that's Chiswick. No, that's not Chiswick. Here's what would be at Chiswick. Of course, it looks like it's default PUI scenery. Unfortunately. So, now we visit the next. How about we visit the home of Wimbledon? Yes, the All England Lawn Tennis Croquet Club was established all the way back in the 1800s. It is best known for being the venue for the Wimbledon Championships of Tennis. The club has 375 full-time members with 100 temporary playing members and a number of honorary members. The club has 18 tournament grass courts, 8 American clay courts, 2 acrylic courts, and 5 indoor courts. The largest is Center Court, which was built back in 1922. It actually goes, it can actually have a capacity of 14,000 people, and hosts the finals for the main stages and double events of the Championships of Wimbledon. Let's hope we can actually visit here. We visit Wimbledon. Also, Center Court has a retractable roof and is the main court. There's also a number 1 court as well, and it's primarily used in the Wimbledon stuff. This one also supports 12,000 seats. I hope very active as them. This is Wimbledon. This is the main home of tennis. In the Championships of Wimbledon, now the Championships of Wimbledon attract 450,000 people per year. I see the Center Court now. Home of Wimbledon. So if you're a tennis fan, you definitely want to check out Wimbledon. It is very historic. There she is. So from MSF's add-on news, here's some news. So the Aerosoft's going to come out for the A330. They said it's going to release this year. The next one is actually Coxberg. They're releasing their new Cessna Citation Mustang model. Milfiz is actually bringing out a helicopter. Yes, they're bringing out their own Huey. I know there's a freeware one, but this is the new Huey. And then Fabio was teasing it, but here's a really exciting place coming to the marketplace. The Sling Sting S4 is actually coming to MSF Marketplace. Oh, which is coming exclusive to Marketplace for $25. But let me just tell you, I saw a bit of that stream. I can't believe they actually modeled not only a flat tire, they modeled the parachute. You know how like planes like the Cirrus have a parachute? Well, this thing also has a parachute of its own. Hey, good day, Raleigh. Good day to you, Raleigh. Good day, mate. So we're touring London, actually. So here is Center Court. Here's all the Wimbledon stuff. And here is Center Court. This is actually also involved in the set. But here's Center Court, guys. You love your tennis. This is definitely where you want to catch a tennis game. So let's take a bit of a closer look here. So you can definitely see the tennis match. Here's the tennis court. And yes, this roof actually retracts. You see these things right here. Well, right here, they can, this and this can close the roof, and this means you can actually play tennis in the rain by covering up the roof. Pretty cool. There's also other tennis court areas here. as well here at Wimbledon. Some very neat stuff. So after we visit Wimbledon, we're now visiting another iconic sporting facility here. And yes, London's full of iconic sports stadiums. We're visiting the next one. Stamford Bridge is actually one. The home of Chelsea has been around since 1877. With a seat capacity of 40,834 people. It was used originally by the London Athletic Club until 1905, when owner Gus Mews founded Chelsea Football Club to occupy the ground. It's featured as a venue for many international matches in England, the FA Cup Finals, FA Cup Semi-Finals, and the Charity Shield games. Now, there has been lots of talks about Chelsea moving on from Stamford Bridge, but there's been a lot of legal stuff going on. It's even been used for American football too, as the NFL Europe London Monarchs team played here. And of course, they also use the stadium for greyhound races. They race greyhounds here too. The record capacity held here was in 1935 when Chelsea battled Arsenal. 82,000 people attended the stadium. It's also went through a lot of major changes, most notably in the 1990s. Stamford Bridge was converted to an all-seater stadium following the Hillsbury disaster, where there was a massive crowd stampede that actually killed lots of people. I used to play Ultroid's combat set, flew a Quicksilver MX-2A and a Colt original Firestorm. It had a ballistic recovery system and parachute. Yep. So let's see if we can find Stamford Bridge. So this is Fulham. Oh, there's Stamford Bridge. There she is. Here it is, Stamford Bridge, home of Chelsea. So we're now entering bad downtown London. Now, mind you, this isn't all the landmarks in London. There's way more of them, but I'm visiting the most famous landmarks. So just keep that in mind, or it'll take forever. So here it is, Stamford Bridge. Home of Chelsea. Since 1877, yeah. So from Stamford Bridge, we're gonna head up to Kensington Palace. So Kensington Palace, actually we're not just going to the palace, we're actually gonna talk about Hyde Park. It's a royal park, one of the largest of the full royal parks. It was established by Henry VIII in 1536 as a hunting ground. And it was opened to the public in 1637 and quickly became very popular, mainly during the May Day parades. So we're flying over Hyde Park. And one of the main things about it is Kensington Palace. This royal residence was established in the 17th century, and the royal families have resided here since the 17th century. Today, the Steve Rooms are open to the public and are managed by the Independent Charity of Historic Royal Palaces. It has over 50 residents. Aside from royals, it also hosts members of the military, courtiers, staff, and citizens who pay the market rent, and of course it also shows many paintings from the royal collection. We're held here in Kensington Palace. And there have been many residents who've lived here. King William III and Queen Mary II, Queen Anne, both King Georges, and there's many other residents that have resided here. And there's Kensington Palace. Unfortunately, for some reason, this palace was not a handcrafted POI, which is kind of weird. But here's Kensington Palace, one right here. And here's the rest of Hyde Park. We're going to turn around. This is definitely a beautiful royal park. This royal park reminds me of a lot of Central Park in New York. NYC. We can definitely see some iconic buildings here. Including this right here is Royal Albert Hall. This here is the Albert Memorial and Royal Albert Hall, located here. Next is the Natural History Museum. It's basically, it has over 80 million items in that museum within the 5 main collections. This historical museum includes scientific artifacts collected by Charles Darwin and has been established for a long time. So here's the History Museum, the Natural History Museum. And Britain's got a lot of these museums, which means if you're a history guy or love science, it's definitely worth visiting. Here is the National Army Museum, further down from here. It's known as the Chelsea Pensioners. It remits the overall history of the British land forces, and it contrasts with the other kingdoms of the UK, contrary on the individual port of the British Army. Then from here, we're going to visit the Oval. This is another cricket ground, similar to the cricket ground here. This cricket ground was opened back in 1845. It was the first ground in England to host international test cricket in 1880. In addition to cricket, it hosts other sport events as well. The Oval was hosted lots. It's hosted the England and Wales. It hosted the very first international football match between England and Scotland. It hosted the first FA Cup final in 1872. It's even hosted field hockey games too. So the Oval should be around here somewhere. And now we're getting to the really iconic part of London. I can definitely see many iconic landmarks. So here's the Oval. Down here is the Oval, the world famous Oval here. But now we're getting to some of the iconic buildings, and you can definitely see now the landmarks. There's a lot of them. Oh man, look at this. Look at all the London landmarks. I'm gonna go ahead and lower the trim to 0. Start flying a little low again. Look at this. Look at oh my God. Isn't that just a beaut? So here's all the iconic landmarks. Oh boy. This one's gonna be fun. So let's talk about, we're gonna get past the Imperial War Museum. Well, this is a lot of home museums to Britain's imperial history, with their mighty empire, one of the world's mightiest empires in world history. First, let's talk about a place I think we all should visit here. We're gonna visit now Big Ben. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. So let me go and fly next to the Palace of Westminster. So here it is, the Palace of Westminster. And here's the London Eye. We're gonna return back to the London Eye. My FPS turned into a slideshow. Oh yeah, London can be quite busy. Okay. Let me go ahead and talk about this. Oh, let's do this. Perfect. Let me go ahead and set the camera. Look at this. Perfect, guys. All right, let me talk about this place. This is Big Ben. This is one of the cultural landmarks here in the UK. So, what is exactly the Big Ben, you may ask? The Big Ben is often the nickname for the Great Bell of the striking clock, and it also refers to both the clock and the Elizabeth Tower as well. Now, this tower was designed by Augustus Pugin in the Neo-Gothic style, and when it was completed in 1859, it was the largest and most accurate forward-face striking clock in the world. It stands 316 feet tall, and in order to climb from here to the ground level, it will take you 334 steps to get up there. Each of the dials of the clock are 22.5 feet per meter in diameter, and all four nations of the UK are represented on the tower on the shield, including a rose for England, a thistle for Scotland, shamrock for Northern Ireland, and a leaf for Wales. The Big Ben is the largest of the 5 bells of the tower, and each of them weigh 13.5 tons. And of course, this tower is a British cultural icon recognized all over the world. It's a prominent symbol of the UK's democracy, and it was used in a establish shot of films set in London. And has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1987. I mean, what an absolutely beautiful tower. Just so, let me go back, and how about let me go ahead and turn this around and show off the rest of this palace. Because here's the thing, Big Ben is only one part of this palace. This is because here is the rest of the Palace of Westminster. That's because Big Ben is only one part of one of the most important palaces in the UK. This is the Palace of Westminster. So what's so special about this palace? Well, the Palace of Westminster is the home of the British Parliament, the House of Commons and the House of Lords, the two houses of Parliament in the UK. This palace was actually built all the way back in 1016. It was originally demolished due to fire in 1834, and it was rebuilt from 1840 to 1876. It was rebuilt in the Gothic Revival style. This palace is one of the centers, if not the major center, of the political life in the UK. And it features also the famous Elizabeth Tower. And it was one of the most popular tourist attractions in the entire city as well. It features lots of different stuff, including rich exterior, stonework, lots of different towers, mainly the Victoria Tower as well, which is right here. Here's Victoria Tower. So here it is. Here's the rest of... The palaces encompass many rulers and traditions around the centuries as well. So some of the traditions here can include a lack of smoking, and that rule has been around since the 17th century. There's also a dress code, and other traditions like the only animals being allowed are guide dogs. Speeches may not be read out during the debate here in the Commons, and you're not even allowed to read newspapers. But it's very popular for tourists, which is why this is a very important area in the UK. Let's go ahead and look over the rest of the palace. Just stunning. This palace looks amazing. I mean, that's so great about the UK. There's so many good-looking palaces. Oh yeah, and here's another Wolfgang section. And I'm surprised this wasn't 3D modeled as well. I mean, that's because it's this building right here. This here is Westminster Abbey. And I don't know why Asobo did not make this handcrafted. Because let me tell you about Westminster Abbey. This place is one of the most important religious buildings in the entire UK. It's been around since 1066. It has been the coronation of all the British monarchs since William the Conqueror. And there are about 16 royal weddings that have occurred here since 1100. Originally it was a Benedictine monastery church, and has been the seat of the Catholic bishop until it became the head of the seat of the Church of England. The abbey itself has been the burial site of more than 3,000 people have been buried here, including 16 monarchs, 8 prime ministers, poets, actors, scientists, military leaders, and the unknown warrior. And the first person to be interred here in the Poets' Corner was Geoffrey Chaucer in 1400, known as the author of the Canterbury Tales. As such, this place is described as Britain's Valhalla, after the iconic Hall of the Chosen Heroes of Norse mythology. I mean, definitely a very historic church, and a very historic place for tourism. So here's the front of the Westminster's Abbey. Here's what it looks like from the outside from the photogrammetry. It's not bad, but I'd rather have it be... If that thing can be handcrafted, I don't know why this couldn't. Especially just how historically significant this building is. So you can definitely see all the graves here in the Abbey. And there's definitely lots of other historical buildings here too. Then after this is, of course, and yes, we are landing here as well. But yes, it's because we're heading to Buckingham Palace. Turn. Flaps. So this is St. James Park, where we're at right now. So we're visiting Buckingham Palace, boys. This should be fun. Negative 245. Okay. There it is, guys. We're at Buckingham Palace, boys. So, let's talk about Buckingham Palace, shall we? So, Buckingham Palace. This royal palace is legendary. It is one of the main centers of the royal family. This is the administrative headquarters of the monarch. It was originally built in 1703 for the Duke of Buckingham, John Sheffield. It was acquired by King George III as a private residence for Queen Charlotte, and was known as the Queen's House. During the 19th century, Buckingham Palace enlarged by architects John Nash and Edward Moore, and it became the London residence of the British monarch on the accession of the legendary Queen Victoria, one of probably many considered to be the greatest leader in British history. The last structural additions were made in the 19th and 20th century, including the East Front. Now, the palace there was actually destroyed by the German bombing of the Second World War, and the Queen's Gallery was actually built on the site to exhibit works of the royal collection. This features a lot of rich interior. Now, this palace is around 355 feet across, 390 feet deep, and 80 feet high, and it contains over 830,000 square feet of floor space. There are 775 rooms, including 188 staff bedrooms, 92 offices, 78 bathrooms, 52 principal bedrooms, and 19 staterooms. It also has a post office, cinema, swimming pool, doctor's surgery, and jeweler's workshops located all over the place. And they do lots of court ceremonies and stuff to this day. So, this is Buckingham Palace, everyone. One, two. So let's go. There's actually one more picture I can take. It's right here. So here's another big statue. This particular statue is actually the Victoria Memorial honoring Queen Victoria, Britain's most iconic queen. So let's go ahead and take this back off. Ah, there's St. James Palace. I found it right here. There's St. James Palace down over here. So this here is St. James Palace down below us. Now, this palace in particular is another really cool one. So, St. James Palace is another one of the royal palaces here. It is given its name to the Court of St. James, which is the royal court of England. It was built by the order of Henry VIII in the 1530s, and it was one of the most important places for the monarch during Henry VIII. And this was one of the two palaces that actually survived by King Henry VIII. The other one was Hampton Court. It's built in the Tudor style, and most of the features actually come in brick, particularly. But more importantly, this palace was served following the treaty between the Balkan states and Turkey during the Balkan Wars. And this was also the palace where the League of Nations was actually born. The United Nations was born here in St. James Palace. With the US, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and the exiled governments of Poland, Greece, alongside Charles de Gaulle, France, signed what would be the establishment of the UN was signed here today. Pretty important place. So there is St. James Palace. So after St. James Palace, we're going to visit the Churchill War Room. Let's go ahead and check out his war room. So what's so important about those war rooms right here? So right here is Churchill's War Room. This was constructed back in the 30s. This was a home to an underground complex where Winston Churchill stayed during the Blitz. And this is often where his command center was actually down here. And it even features a museum dedicated to Winston Churchill, the Churchill Museum, which explores the life of Winston Churchill, one of the most famous British political leaders of the 20th century. Pretty cool stuff. Then from here, we're going to visit the London Eye, which is actually the most visited paid attraction in the UK. So let's take a look at the London Eye, shall we? So London Eye is also known as the Millennium Wheel. This iconic observation wheel was established in 2000. It's the tallest observation wheel in all of Europe. It's 135 meters tall, or 423 feet tall, and the wheel has a diameter of 394 feet. I mean, look at this. Look at the wheel. It's actually moving in the sim. Isn't that cool? Lots of pictures here today, but I mean, this is London. We got it. London. So a bit of information about the London Eye. It used to offer the highest viewing point in London until the Shard was built. When it was opened in 2000, it was the world's tallest Ferris wheel. It was only surpassed by 3 other ones: the Star named Chain in China, the Singapore Flyer in 08, and the High Roller in Las Vegas. And yes, this is an old paid tour. Apparently 3 million visitors visit the London Eye every year, making it the most popular paid tourist attraction in all of London. Pretty cool stuff. Now we're going to visit another historically very important area. Not so much a building, but a whole area in particular. And that's because we're actually visiting Trafalgar Square next. Here it is, Trafalgar Square. I mean, you can't have a visit to the UK without visiting Trafalgar Square. So welcome to Trafalgar Square, everyone. So let's talk about Trafalgar Square for a little bit. So this place here, yeah, I didn't expect to move. Trafalgar Square is a public square established in the 19th century. An area formerly known as Charing Cross. It has been used for community gatherings and political demonstrations, including Bloody Sunday in 1887. It also did the first culmination of the Albert Mason March, anti-war protests, and climate change. So why was it named Trafalgar Square, though? Well, the reason it was named that was because right here is a statue commemorating Admiral Nelson and his victory of the Battle of Trafalgar, which allowed the British to have a victory against Napoleonic France in Spain. Now, the center run has actually been around since the 1200s, but it wasn't until the modern-day Trafalgar Square was built. In common buildings include the National Gallery, which is right here, St. Martin in the Fields, Canada House, and the South Africa House. And there's been lots of events held here. New Year's, Christmas, political stuff, and more. Because Trafalgar Square is quite an iconic area in London. So from Trafalgar Square, we're now going to move to another iconic place in the UK. So another iconic London thing. How about something, one of the greatest museums on the planet? Also a controversial one too, but historically been one of the most important museums. And yes, I'm talking about the British Museum. Here we go. So here it is, the world famous, or infamous, depending on who you ask, but this here is the British Museum. Hey, you gotta go, but thanks for the flight. Thank you, Conville, for showing up today. So this here is the British Museum, right here. This public museum has been dedicated to human art and culture since its opening all the way back in 1753. With over 8 million works, it's among the largest and most comprehensive collections in existence. It documents the history of human culture from beginning to present, and when it was opened, it was the first public national museum on the planet. It first opened to the public in Montagu House, on the side of the current building, and its expansion over the 250 years since it was built was largely a result of the British colonialization and several branch institutions. However, the thing that's made the British Museum quite controversial, though, is its ownership to a small percentage of its most famous objects remains the subject of much international controversy, particularly the Elgin marbles of Greece and the Rosetta Stone of Egypt. But yeah, it features all sorts of famous monuments and artistries. This museum is absolutely world famous. It's got, if you like history stuff, the British Museum definitely is the place you want to go. Then we're visiting the British Library. And actually, we were originally going to visit the British Library, but then said, you know, we're not going to visit here. So instead, we're actually going to go down to the Gherkin building, the 30 State Avenue Axe, the Gherkin building. So this building here is the Gherkin. Now this building here, the Gherkin, is a commercial skyscraper with 41 floors. It's 591 feet tall. And this building becomes one of the most iconic landmarks in London, and it's a very contemporary architecture as a result. It was costing around 130 English pounds. Oh yeah, actually I forgot something too. Oh, I forgot this building, I forgot. Okay, that's St. Paul's Cathedral, actually. I forgot to actually put a thing for St. Paul's. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, there's St. Paul's Cathedral. I forgot to actually put this on my screen. I forgot that was a POA landmark. Okay, guys, I forgot this. So, St. Paul's Cathedral. I mean, it was consecrated in 1697. It was completed in 1710. It's 518 feet long and 365 feet tall. It's an Anglican cathedral for the Bishop of London. It serves as the mother church of the Diocese of London. The present structure, which dates to the late 17th century, was designed in the English Baroque style, and it's one of the most famous landmarks in all of London. And there have been many funerals held here, including Admiral Lord Nelson, the Duke of Wellington, Winston Churchill, and Margaret Thatcher all buried here. So here it is, St. Paul's Cathedral. I forgot about St. Paul's Cathedral when I did this drawing. Forgot it. Forgive me. I forgot there was St. Paul's Cathedral. I forgot. And there's a lot of different buildings here. We should be seeing the Gherkin. Ah, there's the Gherkin. Here's the Gherkin, guys. Right here. Here it is, the famous Gherkin. Definitely a very modern piece of architecture. Okay, before we head down to the turf, there's London Tower and the Tower Bridge. World famous. Here, but before we head there, let's go ahead and visit. There's London Bridge. But before we hit the London Bridge, there is something else I wanted to visit here in London. Hey, Quart, good to have you here, Quart. So, Kwart, we're actually flying in London. We're touring the city. So we had a very long flight plan. We visited Wembley. We visited Windsor Castle. We got to visit Buckingham Palace, and we just passed through St. Paul's Cathedral. I forgot to put that in my notes of St. Paul's. There's so many iconic buildings here. Oh. Huh. So, okay, this structure below us. So what is this structure anyway? This here is Shakespeare's Globe. This was actually a reconstruction of the original Globe Theater, and this was where Shakespeare did a lot of his plays back in the 1500s. And I mean, if you don't know who Shakespeare was, William Shakespeare, one of the most legendary playwrights in history. In fact, many of his plays are still performed by many theater artists to his day, and considered by many to be the greatest writer in English history, of the English language. He's produced many iconic works. They include All That Ends Well, Hamlet, Julius Caesar, all of those. He put many of these plays in the Globe Theater, and this is the modern reconstruction of it, built in 1997. It was around 715 meters from the original site, and it was opened with the production of Henry V. So this is actually Shakespeare's Globe. Pretty cool stuff. And you get to see what it would be like in the 1500s, how they actually did plays and all that stuff for theater. Then from here, we're going to visit, well, the UK's actually tallest structure. And yeah, it's the Shard, actually. So we're going to climb all the way up to the top. Okay. So this here is the Shard. This is the UK's tallest building. Here's the Shard. Definitely an iconic piece of London. So what is it about the Shard? Well, the Shard is actually 72 stories high. It was over 1,000 feet high, making it the tallest building here in the UK. It features 72 habitable floors and an observation deck, which means you get some of the best views in the entire United Kingdom. The Shard actually goes all the way back to the construction of it during 2012. It was completed in 2012 and opened in 2013, designed by architect Renzo Piano as well, which is pretty cool. So that is the UK's tallest building. The next is, well, the Tower Bridge and the Tower of London. Let's go look at Tower Bridge first. So, Tower Bridge. Okay. So, Tower Bridge. This grade 1 suspension bridge was built between 1886 and 1894, designed by Horace Jones, engineered by John Wolfe. It's 800 feet long and consists of two 213-foot bridge towers. And a central pair of bastions that allow for shipping, which is right here. So here it is, guys. World famous Tower Bridge. So here it is, Tower Bridge, everyone. Very iconic landmark. So here's Tower Bridge, for all you guys who don't know. Let me go ahead and do this. So you guys can see the full bridge. So down here is where the bridge opens up for shipping and allows boats to pass through it. So that is Tower Bridge. Oh, here's Biggles in the... Oh, he's in the Velocopter. Yeah, the Velocopter is a good choice. I just don't know how to actually fly the thing. And then, right next to this... whoops, just here is the bridge, and we actually head to the Tower of London. So here's another iconic London landmark. This is the Tower of London. This tower here, actually right here is the Tower of London. This tower is actually a very historic castle. This was built at the end of the Norman Conquest for William the Conqueror. This particular one was actually built as a castle. It was very important in English history, as whoever controlled it was important for controlling the country. And the crown jewels of the UK were actually housed here. sits during the reign of Henry III, and it hosts many royal regalia like jewels, plate, and symbols of royalty, like crowns, spectred sword, are all from the castle. They were all in this castle. So that's all been held here in the castle. So there's I wonder if I can find the ancient Belfast. Weird, I don't see the ancient Belfast. Okay, and we don't actually have that much more landmarks to go through because we actually only got 3 major landmarks remaining. So first, we're actually going to head to Canary Wharf. This wharf here is located in the Isle of Dogs in the London Borough, and it's one of the main financial centers of the UK and the world is located here. Around 105,000 people work here at the wharf. It is home to many European headquarters of numerous banks, service firms, and media organizations. And they include, but not of all the following, but they include Barclays, Citigroup, HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, MetLife, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Canada, the Economics Group, and Thomson Reuters. All of them are make their base here in Canary Wharf. And there's several quarters, including Canada Square. So here is Canary Wharf. So here it is, Canary Wharf. So get the here it is, Canary Wharf. Many buildings home to some very powerful economic centers of London. Then from Canary Wharf, we're going to be heading down to the National Maritime Museum. This iconic marine military museum is located within the Maritime Greenwich World Heritage Site, and it achieves a greater understanding of British maritime history and its consequences in the world today. Now, if you wonder why, you may ask, it's because this maritime museum, Greenwich is world famous for its marine history. Particularly, the Greenwich Mean Time was found here, the Prime Meridian, and then there's also the Royal Observatory as well. Are all found here in Greenwich. And there are some very famous paintings belonging to Horatio Nelson and James Cook. So here it is, guys. Here's the there's Marine Greenwich. Here's all the historic buildings located here. Here it is. Here's Greenwich. There's also a museum ship down here too. It looks like to be a museum ship. That's because that is the Cutty Sark, the last tea clipper of the British. It's located here, and there's the University of Greenwich. And this also includes the old Royal Navy College too. So here's all this stuff in the Queen's home. That features a lot of iconic British stuff as well. And there's one final destination we are going to hit for today's tour of London. And that is the O2. So the O2, the O2 is a large entertainment district in Greenwich, in the southeast London area. It features an indoor arena, a music club, a Cineworld cinema, exhibition space, piazzas, bars, and restaurants. It was built largely within the former Millennium Dome, and the O2 Arena was actually used during the Summer Olympics. It has 20,000 seats, and it's mainly used for music, which is pretty cool. The O2 has also got other stuff too. It has lots of party space. It has outdoor event spaces, indoor space, exhibition stage, even a music club. So here it is, the O2. Here it is. And that's going to complete the last of the city tour for today. So that's it, guys. We just wrapped up the tour of London. I hope this was a good tour for all you guys. I hope you all enjoy it. London was definitely the hard working of all my tours. But this was one city I definitely wanted to bring the most out of me. But it's an absolutely stunning city. It's such a rich and deep history. I love flying over London. Cheers, Viper. Great stream. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. So, who are we going to read today? That's a good question. Got quite a few. I think I know what to do. I think I might just read O Can Do for today. He showed up earlier today, so I'm probably going to read O Can Do. I think it'll be good for me to read his channel. I think it'll be fantastic as well. So let's go ahead and try to make the landing. Thankfully this plane is pretty slow, so landing this isn't difficult. I mean, I've already seen some DA-62s. I've seen Boeing 146, which I do got in the sim. I got on Sim Marker for $50. So let's go with it. That was a great land. So, I'm happy with today's stream. Today's stream went great. I really appreciate all of you showing up. And we're gonna park here. Taxi. And that's going to complete today's flight, guys. What a great way to end a week of streaming. I really do appreciate everyone so much. So I thank everyone here for coming along, the new follows, the people chat. I really appreciate you guys today. What a great flight. And I hope you all learned something today from our trip to London. So, for next week's stream, on Wednesday, we'll be doing some Firefly air hops. We're going to travel to the Philippines. We're going to do an island tour of the Philippines with Firefly Air. And on Sunday, we're going to do another tour of another city. This time, thankfully, it'll be smaller, so it would be less stress for me. But it will still be a really important city, as I'm going to visit the city of St. Louis, Missouri, home of Budweiser, the St. Louis Cardinals, and a bit of in St. Louis barbecue. So, guys, I really do appreciate you being here today. So, we're going to go ahead and raid O Can Do for today. I don't think I've raided him in a while. So, I wanted to raid his stream for today. So, I make sure all you guys stay here while I go ahead and prepare for the raid. So seriously, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone in the chat. You all have been absolutely incredible. So take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Viperstrike 95 is now signing off. Take care, everyone. Bye.